Greeting to all. In this video, we are going to learn Unit 15, Oscar Wilde, the importance of being earnest. To learn about Oscar Wilde in full, Oscar Finglo Florida Wells Wilde, born in October 6, was born in October 16 in 1854, Dublin, Ireland, and died on November 30 in 1900, Paris, France. He was an Irish wit, poet, and a dramatist whose reputation rests on his only novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and his comic masterpieces Lady Windermere Fan and The Importance of Being Earnest. He was a spokesperson for the late 19th century aesthetic movement in England. Wilde was born of professional and literary parents. His father, Sir William Wilde, was Ireland's leading ear ear and eye surgeon, who also published books on archaeology, folklore, and the satirist Jonathan Swift. His mother, who wrote under the name Speranza, was a revolutionary poet and an authority on Celtic myth and folklore. On the analysis of the importance of being earnest, Jack Worthing, the play's protagonist, is a pillar of the community in Hertfordshire, where he is guardian to Cecily Gardo and the pretty 18-year-old granddaughter of the late Thomas Gardo, who found and adopted Jack when he was a baby. In Hertfordshire, Jack has responsibility. He is a major landowner and justice of the peace, with the tenant, farmers, and a number of the servants and other employees all depend on him. He has also pretended to have an irresponsible black sheep brother named Ernest who leads a scandalous life in pursuit of pleasure and is always getting into trouble of a sort that requires Jack to rush grimly off his assistance. Jack is in love with Nendolan Fairfax, the cousin of his best friend Algernon Moncrief. When the play opens, Algernon, who knows Jack as Ernest, has begun to suspect something, having found an inscription inside Jack's cigarette case addressed to Uncle Jack from someone who refers to herself as a little Cicely. Algernon suspects that Jack may be leading a double life, a practice he seems to regard as commonplace and is indispensable to modern life. He calls a person who lives a double life a Bunburious. After their non-existent friend, he pretends to have a chronic invalid named Bunbury, at whose deathbed he is forever being summoned whenever he wants to get out of some tiresome and social obligation. At the beginning of Act 1, Jack drops in unexpectedly on Algernon and announces that he intends to propose to Ned Dolan. Al- Algernon confronts him with the cigarette case and forces him to come clean, demanding to know who Jack and Cicely are. Naldonan and her mother, Lady Pregnell, arrive, which gives Jack an opportunity to propose to Naldonan. Jack is delighted to discover that Nandolan returns his affection, but he is alarmed to learn that Nandolan is fixated on the name Ernest, which she says inspires absolute confidence. Nandolan makes clear that she would not consider marrying a man who was not named Ernest. Lady Pregnell interviews lack to determine his eligibility as a possible in-law, son-in-law, and during this interview, she asks about his family background. When Jack explains that he has no idea who his parents were and that he was found by the man who adopted him in a handbag in the clock room at a Victoria station, Lady Pregnell is scandalized. She forbids the match between Jack and Nandalonan and sweeps out of the house. In Act 2, Algernon shows up at Jack's country's estate, posing as Jack's brother Ernest. Meanwhile, Jack, having decided that Ernest has outlived his usefulness, arrives home in deep mourning. Full of a story about Ernest having died suddenly in Paris, he is enraged to find Algernon, though masquerading as Ernest, but has to go along with the charade. If he doesn't, his own lies and deception will be revealed. Algernon goes off in search of Dr. Charles Schubel, the local rector, to see about getting himself Christian Ernest. Meanwhile, Nal Dolan arrives, having decided to pay Jack an unexpected visit. Shown into the garden, where Cecily orders tea and attempts to play hostess. Cecily has no idea how Nadolan figures into Jack's life, and Nadolan, for her part, has no idea who Cecily is. He initially thinks Cecily is a visitor to the manor house and is disconcerted to learn about Cecily's Mr. Worthing's ward. Jack and Algernon arrive towards the climax of the confrontations, each having separately made arrangement with Dr. Chasuble to the Christian Ernest later that day. Each of the young ladies points out that the other has been deceived. Cecily informs Nadolan that her fiancé is really named Jack, and he informs Cecily that as is really called Algernon. The two women demand to know where Jack's brother Ernest is, since both of them are engaged to be married to him. Jack is forced to admit that he has no brother and that Ernest is a complete fiction. Both women are shocked and furious, and they retire to the house arm in arm. Act 3 takes place in the drawing room of Manor House, where Cecily and Nolan have retired when Jack and Algernon enter from the garden. The two women confront them. Cecily asks Algernon why he pretended to be her guardian's brother. He tells her he did not it in order to meet her. Nolan asks Jack whether he pretended to have a brother in order to come into London to see her as often as possible, and she interpreted his evasive reply as an affirmation. Lady Bracknell has followed Nadoran from London, having bribed his maid to reveal her destination. She demands to know what is going on. He replies to all her questions with a mixture of civility and sarcasm, withholding, under the last possible moment, the information that Cicely is actually worth a great deal of money and stands to inherit still more when she comes of age. At this, Lady Bracknell becomes genuinely interested. Jack informs Lady Bracknell that as Cicely's legal guardian, he refuses to give his consent to her union with Algernon. Lady Bracknell suggested that the two young people simply wait until Cicely comes of age, and Jenks points out that under the terms of her grandfather's will, Cicely doesn't legally come of age until she is 35. Lady Bracknell asks Jack to reconsider, and he points out that the matter is entirely in her own hands. As soon as she consents to his marriage to him, Cicely can have his consent to marry Algernon. However, Lady Bracknell refuses to entertain the notion. She and Nedoran are on the point of leaving when Dr. Sazubel arrives and happens to mention Cicely's governess, Miss Prism. At this, Lady Bracknell starts and asks Miss Prism to be sent off. The Importance of Being Earnest is a comic play by Oscar Wilde that engages them themes such as marriage, class, social expectation, and the lifestyle of the English upper class. The plays focus on two men, Algernon and Jack, who are both leading double lives. Double lives. Thank you.